بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن دعا بدعوته إلى يوم الدين ثم أما بعد. Inshallah ta'ala, there will be a series that we will be going through with some ideas and some thoughts and some reflections of the Qur'an. Since we are in the month of the Qur'an, the best thing that we should do is to reflect upon the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blamed those who do not reflect upon his book. And he said subhanahu wa ta'ala, أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ أَمْ عَلَى قُلُوبٍ أَقْفَالُهَا. Shall they reflect the Qur'an, or their hearts are locked or sealed? It is as if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that those who do not reflect upon the book of Allah, their hearts are locked and sealed. So to avoid this divine blame and to bring ourselves closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to be included amongst those who have been described by Allah as وَمَا يَعْقِلُهَا إِلَّا الْعَالِمُونَ, only those who have knowledge and those who have in-depth knowledge will be able to reflect upon it and understand and realize it. To be included in the circle of those who fear Allah and those who love Allah and those who reflect upon the words of Allah, let's reflect upon the Qur'an. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in Surat Al-Baqarah, in the 3rd juz, verses 258 up till verse number 261, 3 or 4 different situations. Firstly, we are brought into a scene where the Qur'an speaks about a dialogue that has happened between Prophet Ibrahim and Namrud, that tyrant who existed at the time of Ibrahim, and he claimed that he's got the power of giving life and taking life, death and life. And Ibrahim alayhi salam argued with him and said that no one can have this ability and this power except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then this man said, but I have it. He brought a man, he brought two people from prison, killed one of them and released the other. And he said to Ibrahim alayhi salam, look at this man, I have released him, so I have given him life, and I have killed this person, I've sentenced him to death, so I've killed him, I have brought death upon him. Ibrahim alayhi salam realized that this man is unable to conceptualize the whole idea of death and life. So he said to him, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَأْتِي بِالشَّمْسِ مِنَ الْمَشْرِقِ. Allah brings sun from the east. فَأْتِ بِهَا مِنَ الْمَغْرِبِ. So if you're able, if you're powerful, if you have strength, if you claim that you have absolute strength and absolute control of the universe, bring the sun in a way that is opposite to the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings it every day. Then Allah takes us from this scene, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala concludes this scene by saying, فَبُهِتَ الَّذِي كَفَرَ. The one who has disbelieved, buhita, and the word bahata in Arabic is a very gentle word, is a very delicate word. Bahata in Arabic means to lose argument completely, but at the same time, when something is pale, when you wash a cloth for so many times and it loses its colors, we call it in Arabic bahit. And when someone is pale because he's lost his power, we call him bahit, or shahib, which means pale as well. So it is as if the Quran is saying that this man has lost all his powers and all his control, and he has lost all his nafs. He is as if he has lost his argument completely. And then the Quran tells us about the story of al-Azhari, who passed by a village and he saw that this village had what is remaining from them are just ruins, and these people have died completely, there is no signs of life there. So he said, how can Allah give life to this village after all these years of death? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala proved to him through himself. فَأَمَاتَهُ اللَّهُ مِئَةَ عَامٍ. Allah took him in death for 100 years. ثُمَّ بَعَثَ. And then the Quran takes us to another scene where Ibrahim alayhi salam says to Allah, رَبِّ أَرِنِي كَيْفَ تُحْيِي الْمَوْتَ. Oh my Lord, show me how do you give life to the dead people. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, أَوَلَمْ تُؤْمِنْ. Aren't you a believer yet? He said, I do believe. but I want certitude to be deep in my heart. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands Sayyidina Ibrahim to take birds, cut them into pieces, put them on different parts, on different tops of mountains, mountain tops, and then call them, but these birds will not be coming flying, they will be coming walking. And there is significance here. So that if they are flying, Ibrahim might say, or might think that these are not my birds. These are not the same birds I've cut into pieces and put on different tops of mountains. But when they come walking, it is as if he has known a sign in each one of them. And then Allah takes us from this scene and brings us to a completely different scene. قَوْلٌ مَثَلُ الَّذِينَ يُنْفِقُونَ أَمْوَالَهُمْ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ كَمَثَلِ حَبَّةٍ أَنْبَتَتْ سَبْعَ سَنَابِلٍ. The example of those who spend their money for the sake of Allah or in the path of Allah is like an ear of wheat, like a seed of wheat that has produced 7 ears of wheat. In each ear of wheat there is 100 seeds. So that's a total of 700 seeds. The whole line, some people will say, what is the line that is linking all these 4 stories? The line is here. It is the concept of power. Many people think that they have real power, but they don't. Many people in their tyranny and their position, they think that they control the world. They control their selves, and they control the world around them, and they control everything that is around them. And they do not realize that the real power is not the power of harm and benefit, it is the power of benefiting others and being positive. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us a lesson from An-Namrud, saying to us, look, this man has misunderstood power. He thought that power is control. He thought that power is to think that he is higher than others, that he is arrogant, that makes him arrogant and makes him better than others. That is not power. This is a mistake. This is a hallucination. This is astray. He's gone astray. He has been misled by his power. And then when it comes to al-Azhar, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala proved through him, not through anything else. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not bring the village back to life to prove his absolute power subhanahu wa ta'ala, but he proved to him that he is powerful subhanahu wa ta'ala by making him die. That's why he said, أَعْلَمُ أَنَّ اللَّهَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ. I know now that Allah has power over everything. In the narration of Al-Kisa'i, in the recitation of Al-Kisa'i, he reads, قَالَ أَعْلَمْ أَنَّ اللَّهَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ. Allah said to him, now know that Allah has power over everything. And then another concept of power of life and death and bringing things that are absolutely strange to life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala proves to Ibrahim alayhi salam that he has the absolute power. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that all these things that belong to Allah, all these powers that belong to Allah, none of us can claim them because we are limited and we're human. But if we want real power, it's the power of good deeds. The power of good deeds is something that no one can take away from you. It is something that can build. All of us remember so many great scholars of this ummah, not because of their positions, because they never had a position, not because of their money, because they never had money, they were the poorest, not because of their handsomeness or their shape or their features or their complexion, because none of us knows or even recognizes them, but because of the powers of their words, because of the powers of their good deeds. قَوْلٌ مَعْرُوفٌ وَمَغْفِرَةٌ خَيْرٌ مِّن صَدَقَةٍ يَتْبَعُهَا أَذًى. A good word and forgiveness is better than a charity that is followed by harm and offenses. Let's agree from today that we realize the power of our words and our good deeds, and we try to be powerful in the real meaning of power. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept from us all. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم.